I guess I'll just start rolling. I've been kind of waiting for a thing in the Discord to let me know I'm ready, but I'd say we're fine. Alright, hello chat. My name's Dan H. This is Super Black Bass. Yes, it is a fishing game. And yes, I do speedrun it. Alright, so I'll try to let you guys know kind of what I'm trying to do and what all goes on in this game. But for the most part, this game is boring. So if you're watching, hopefully you get pretty involved in chat, because I'll try to do my best with you guys. But anyway, let's get rolling. Alright, so we got the redneck music going on. And then we also have the nice sound of waves lapping the entire time. If you want to fall asleep to that, it is highly recommended. So first things first, we are looking for largemouth bass in this game. And here's one coming right now, and this is a nice sized fish that I do want to catch. And the RNG in this game is pretty awful. Now he's shaking and I'm gonna lose him. Darn. Alright, anyway. So it'll take me about 15 minutes or so to explain what's all going on, and that's gonna be about it for the run that I really need to talk about. So the rest of the time we'll just have to talk about whatever in chat. But the main premise of the game, find these fish that are mudders, like that's in the top right corner right now. These two green fish that are next to me, I don't want them, they're too little. But they always like to mess with you and pick up your bait. But these big ones, like the one I just hooked into, this is a good one. And god dang it, please. So part of the RNG in this game is actually finding fish. Here on Lake 1, I have about a 1 in 3 chance of, in any cast, in any particular spot, again, to find a fish that I actually want to catch. And every spot that you go to has 4 different areas to cast, and you can kind of see it all pop up this little screen. You can kind of see how it divides out. You have the far left, and then mid-right, mid-left, and far right. So there are certain spots that are going to hold those mudder fish, and that's where I'm going to try to focus on. And then once you do find them, like this one looks like a little trout. It's going to pop up and be purple. Yeah, that's not a fish that I want to catch. So that's where the RNG comes in. You can go to a spot and cast out, and it's a 1 in 3 chance on this lake to find something that you actually want to catch. Then once we get into actually hooking the fish and reeling it in, that's RNG as well, because pretty much the fish decides if and when it's going to be caught. So we got another good fish that's up in the top right corner. This longer green one is the bass that I want. So the triangles on the bottom of the screen, they are kind of how hard I am reeling in. That's the bottom one. And the top one is kind of how hard the fish is fighting. Each fish has 3 different phases that it can go in. If the triangle is at the low end of the spectrum, it's what I call rest phase. God, I've had 3 fish shake me. That's horrible. Anyway, so rest phase at the bottom is when I can reel in a fish and it won't build up any tension. The middle line, that gray line, is the tension. If that gets all the way up to the top, then my line breaks. Otherwise, the fish has two other phases it can go into. When the triangle is in the middle, it's in what I call run phase, and at this point, the fish cannot be reeled in. And a lot of times, it'll happen where I'll reel in a fish to 1 or 2 feet from the boat, and it'll go into run phase and then just run away, and I can't do anything about that. So, like I said, the fish decides when it wants to get reeled in. And then the last phase is fight phase, when the triangle is all the way towards the top. You can reel in the fish pretty quickly in this phase, but the tension builds up like crazy. Let's see, and there's a little bass coming towards me. I want to avoid that. See if I can... Looks like there's my nice one. So I've actually been finding fish pretty well. It's just that they have not wanted to come in, and I finally got my first one. 1 for 4 ain't bad, right? Yeah, whatever. So there we go, and even worse, even more RNG coming in here. The size of the bass vary pretty widely. The big ones on this first lake, and there are 4 lakes total, the big ones on this first lake range anywhere typically from low 6 to mid 9 pounds. And I need to get about 40 or so pounds to move on to the next lake. You have to finish within the top 3. And that looks like a trout. You have to finish within the top 3 versus the computer other fishermen. And the weigh-in weights vary pretty widely as well. Third place on this lake can be anywhere from like 33 pounds up to all the way up to like 40. Now this lake usually isn't too bad with that sort of RNG, but once we get to the second one, then it gets really brutal. Second lake sucks. About 60% of runs go to die there. Now I've switched lures. This is a spinnerbait. Usually it's supposed to be weedless, and I'm fishing in weeds right now, but most of the time I've found that it'll just get caught in weeds anyway. So the mudderfish that I just saw there was a bluegill, another one that I don't want. And now I just kind of have to keep going until I find 5 bass to catch. See, I just got hooked up with my crankbait in the weeds there. It's another bluegill. Alright, so that, what I've just talked about, is this game in a nutshell. And now we get 2 more hours of this. Me just kind of praying that I find the right fish to catch and that they come in semi-quickly. There's a good one. Alright, instant catch. It's a somewhat of a speed strat. Try to lure the fish in to about, like, have it pick up the lure with about 3 feet of line out, and then hope that you set the hook and he just kind of swims forward for you. And I'm gonna switch back to my more weedless lure. Actually, when I practiced over the weekend, I switched to this lure and proceeded to get caught up in the weeds like 4 times in a row. That might be a trout, I'm not sure. Oh, that's a bass. Alright. And another quick catch. Game's making up for the crap it put me through with those first 3 fish. What made me want to speedrun this game? Well, I've always kind of liked this game. I've been playing it probably since I was 10 or 12 or so, I don't know. I'm in my early to mid-30s now. And then there was just one day when I was watching Lack Attack play like Super Mario RPG or Zelda or something like that. Absurdity came in and Lack said something about, oh yeah, we'll leave all the really bad Super Nintendo games for you to speedrun. So I asked him, has anyone ever speedrun Super Black Bass? And he said, no, probably not. So I started to. And there's one other person that has done a run of this game, and you got to watch him last night. Oh, I didn't even notice that fish was shaking. Bryce Ulf. He has like a 2.5-hour time, and just the complete randomness of the game probably turns a lot of people off, and how, you know, slow-paced it is. But if you are interested in running this game, I do have a bounty out that looks like a trout. I'll give anyone $20 if they get a run under 2 hours. Or I'll give anyone $100 if they break the world record. My time is 1 hour 38 minutes and 56 seconds for the record. Just one way to demonstrate how bad the RNG is in this game. I have been 10 minutes ahead of pace going into the final lake before, and I wound up 15 minutes behind on that run to finish. Okay, that was bullshit. So that should never happen, really. My lure got tied up or something like that, and no tension popped up, nothing like that. The line just decided to break. So this is probably about the worst start that I could have asked for. All these fish getting off my line breaking there, a complete surprise. This isn't going good. Dynamic weather. You don't get too much in terms of weather. Right, gotta make a pretty long cast here. The wind RNG right now is pretty terrible. I have triple wind in my face. I'm not sure what that is. That was a trout. So it's tough to be able to cast with this crappy wind. But one way to kind of manipulate it is you get a full cast and then you just kind of hold one direction, and every once in a while it'll make the cast a tiny bit longer. That looks like a bluegill. Yep. And then there was actually one other spot that I could have cast there, but the fish that I want to get typically hangs out about 70 feet from the boat, and I'm not going to be able to cast that distance. So now since I lost all those stinking bass, I'm having to move on to some of my backup spots. That looked like a bass to me, so I'm gonna recast at this fish that's hanging out up here. It's on the right side of the screen. and I do kind of apologize. Hopefully my little bit of sniffling isn't bothering too many people. I've kind of come down with a cold over the last couple days. I'm not sure if there's a Game Boy version of this game. I know the NES has the Black Bass, which is not all that good compared to this. And it's kind of weird. That game's kind of weird with how the tournament system goes. I don't know. I watched Toad try to speedrun that game, and he was like, okay, what exactly is going on here? Come on. That one didn't want to come up. There we go. Right, and I love the sound the game makes when the fish bites. Makes a little snap sound. I don't know where the developers came up with that. It's better than Bassmasters Classic, which has like a crunch sound. I just don't get it why they why they chose to make those sounds the way they did. This one's gonna shake me too. God dang it. There's really nothing you can do when the fish starts shaking like that. You try to reel in and build up as much tension as you can, but then you're always in danger of it jumping, and then when it jumps, the tension builds up really quickly, so it's going to break your line a lot of times. But yeah, that's one of the three special things that the fish can do. It can jump, it can do that surface shake like it did right there, and it also can do an underwater shake, which we got to see earlier in the game, which this one bites and immediately starts shaking underwater and shakes me. This is just ridiculous. That's like, what is that, like 5 fish? 6 fish now that I've lost? I want to find 5 fish, hook into them, catch them, and then go way in. This is just brutal. So last game was a world record run. GG to Lucha, Lucha something, whatever his name was. Sorry, I don't remember. And now this one is just disaster piece theater, one after another. Alright, 5 fish in the boat. I can get off of this godforsaken lake. Typically, if I go over 15 minutes on this lake, it's a reset. And I'm already at 18 now. So now I get to go back to the weigh-in dock. You guys get to listen to some redneck music. And I hope that I've caught enough big enough fish to... Oh, I am not going to be able to move on. 44.5 pounds for 3rd place? Yikes. I am not going to be top 3. Fortunately, I have passwords. I had to do this last year too for SNES Superstars. Usually Lake 1 is not bad in this regard, but Lake 2 is the worst. But man, lose 6 fish and then have a 3rd place of 44 pounds. Usually it's down around 35 is what's typical. And 39 is not enough, so I will reset and put in a password for Lake 2. What a cheater, right? We get these fantastic 20 character long things. Alright, on to Lake 2. The Crap Fest. This is about... Usually it's about a 60% chance that the run fails here. Alright, so I don't have any wind, that's good. Because these fish are usually on this lake about 60 feet out from the boat is where you find them. They're very few and far between that are nice and close. And it's also foggy for the weather, which I usually like, but on this lake there's one spot in particular called the shore trees where if it's foggy it's really kind of hard to see where the fish are at, where the mutter is at. Part of the crappy RNG of this lake, that looks like a fish I want to catch. It is. So now you notice this bass is much bigger than the previous ones that I've been catching. This lake has added a catfish to the mix in terms of mutter fish that can show up, and also Lake 1 size bass can show up as mutters. So the odds of finding a fish that I want to catch with each cast is now at 1 in 5 instead of 1 in 3. So just being able to find these fish is going to take quite a bit longer. Does speed gaming dock your pay if you go over estimate? Probably. If you're underestimate, they triple your pay. And then if you get world record, you get 5 times the pay. And then, well, just the fact that these fish are bigger makes this lake a lot longer, and same with lakes 3 and 4. It just takes so much more time to reel these things in. I mean, it can take upwards of 20 minutes to reel in a single fish sometimes. It's that bad. And that's where you just kind of hope and pray for luck. No, there will be no catfish percent. I will be avoiding the catfish. Oh, God. Please. See, now there, if I had kept on going while the fish was shaking and then he jumped immediately, he would have broke my line. So I kind of got lucky there. Alright, 12.6. You have to average about 13 pounds per fish to be able to move on typically. The third place weight for the computer players on this lake is usually anywhere from about 55 pounds to, that looks too small, about 55 pounds, and I've seen all the way up to 68, which is just insanity. I mean, you would actually have to fish the entire day and find a bunch of 15-pounders and stuff to compete with that crap. Oh, and now I landed on the dock. Gotta try to keep it a little shorter. Nah, dang it. Sometimes you lose your lure when you land on the dock like this. There we go. That one looked like it went straight through the plank of the dock. That looks too small. Fish was hiding under there. Hey, Lafungo. Hopefully just that one password. I might have to after this lake as well. That looks a little small again. And it's a catfish. If everyone likes the super black bass and has Franker Face Z installed, check out the Black Bass emote by Enchantress of Numbers. Both B's are capitalized in that emote. Fiesel actually put it on the Speed Gaming channel last year when I ran this and mentioned it. And it wound up staying on the channel for a good 3 or 4 months. I used it frequently during Link to the Past randomizer tournaments. Yes, I fish in real life. I am borderline obsessed with it. And mostly in the summertime I fish for bass, otherwise northern pike as well. Sometimes I'll go for walleyes or panfish like crappies and bluegills and stuff like that, but my main focus is usually on bass. I live in Minnesota, so summertime fishing is like a 3-week ordeal in this state for the most part. No, I'm just kidding. Winter in Minnesota, that's the best 7 months of the year. And actually, just this past weekend, I got to go out ice fishing. There's enough ice on the lake that I was near for me to walk out there. And actually it was kind of shady out there. My wife and I did some tip-up fishing. We caught half dozen northerns over through 2 mornings. We only totaled about 3 hours worth of fishing through the 2 mornings. And the first morning we go out there, we got all our stuff set up, punched a few holes in the ice, and we look over about 30 feet away. Oh, there's a spot of open water. There was like a 10-foot long by, I don't know, 4 feet wide little spot that was just open. Otherwise, there was about 4 inches of ice over the rest of the lake. Unfortunately, this is a smaller bass for this lake. It's only going to be about a 10-pounder. after a while of playing this game, you can kind of tell how big they are by how low the triangle goes, or how high it stays when they go into rest phase. So this one is probably going to be a little bit tiny. Kavoth, you know Minnesota's seasons, it looks like. Getting a little aggressive with that. I've never heard of Breath of Fire Secret Final Boss Zero. In Twilight Princess, I often go to the fishing pond. So for Barney FF asked, where is there enough ice in Minnesota? I was on Lake Osakis. It's in the Alexandria area. Just out in this little bay on the north end of the lake. That's a lot shallower than the rest of the lake. Fish is starting to get tired. He's light green. Eventually fish can go down to yellow, then orange, then red. And then they're easy to pull in. There we go. Finally. .8. Yuck. That'll actually, when I go to the weigh-in, that'll be right around 10. It'll weigh up a little bit. And yes, I did just cast over the dock there, and I'm going to reel in underneath it. That was a little trout that was sitting there. Alright, now I've got 2 of my fish bumping into the dock. Time to go to the shore trees. Alright, cool, Barney. I have a cabin on that lake. Now this is a spot where you can't see the fish when it's cloudy, when they're in the shade like that. That's a trout. So about 90% of the time the mutter fish shows up on the left side of the screen for when you cast. So I'm just going to kind of make a mud up there. Thank you, Ignash. I know this game is boring. That's why people in chat are making it fun. I believe I let off with, this game is boring. And that's a Lake 1 bass. This game makes me wet. Usually when I play this game I have a cooler full of beer at hand, and every time I catch a fish I take a sip. Last year that didn't work out so well for me during my run. With 1 fish to go on Lake 4, I had to get up and use the bathroom. But then that probably created one of the best lines I've ever seen in chat. Alright, nice quick catch. So I mentioned, oh yeah, I gotta get up, guys, and I really gotta go, and someone posted, or someone typed in chat, why don't you just go in the lake? But today, I have to drive my wife to the airport about an hour after this run finishes. So beer drinking isn't exactly on the table for me right now. And if you're thinking, wow, Minnesota, it's like 7:30 in the morning there, this guy can't be drinking beer. Well, I work night shift, so my workday finishes at 7 a.m. So I can drink all the beer I want in the morning. Alright, so that's one of the few times where the mutterfish isn't on the left side of the screen, so hopefully it's on the right. Rotten muscle. If anyone is interested in running this game, and I'm sure no one is, I have a tutorial on my channel. One of the saved videos. It's also posted under the resources or guides or whatever on speedrun.com page. It's a little bit outdated. I've come up with a few new spots to catch plenty of fish. I mean, most of the game is just kind of knowing where the most likely and most usable spots are. You have to get at least 2 or 3 casts per spot that you go to, and that looks like a Lake 1 bass. Too little. I have no idea. That is a great question, Eldra. Super Black Bass Tournament would be dope. It's always been my dream to run this game. Oh my god. These puns are too awesome. If this little guy gets out of my way, I'm going to try for a 1-foot catch here. I can't believe it. I thought I had that one set up perfectly. But as soon as he bit, he went into run phase and turned around. This should be about a 13 or 14 pounder if I can get him in. Actually, with all the like Zelda and Zelda 2 and Zelda 3 and like the Mega Man 2 randomizer and Dragon Warrior rando, all these randos coming out, someone has asked, well, what about Super Black Bass randomizer? Someone should make that. And well, basically the entire game is a randomizer. You never get the same game twice. So if you're a ROM hack creator and want to do a Super Black Bass randomizer, you have one interested person on the planet. 1 out of 7.6 billion isn't so bad, is it? What's the population of the Earth up to? Is it at 7.7? Elm. Don't ever stop with the puns. I am loving every single one that I peek over and see occasionally. Come on, fish. Three people is pretty solid. Parallel Worlds randomizer? Oh, yikes. Give me a Zelda 2 Shadow of Night randomizer. Put items in random overworld tiles that you have no idea that they're there. Oh wait, that's how the game goes normally. I was wondering when we would get a semen pun. I'm surprised no one said one of those puns with my other SNES Superstars run back on Friday. It was a game about the Navy. Come on, don't jump. Oh, darn. Tried to get aggressive with him. He chose to go into run phase. Isn't Parallel Worlds the one where you have to, like, move this statue? There's like 3 or 4 rooms where you have to move a statue an ungodly distance, just weaving it through like a block maze or something. Isn't that game? I remember watching that a few times. No, lily pad skip is not a thing anymore because of updated strategies. And that is on Lake 3. I go straight to lily pads now. First thing. So Yuri, the 2 triangles on the bottom of the screen are how hard I am fighting, that's the bottom one, marked angler, and how hard the fish is fighting, that's the top one. And then the number on the far bottom, or on the bottom far left, is how much line is out. And then the number on the right is how deep the fish is swimming. You want to always keep the fish on the surface because you want it to jump. Jumping tires it out quicker. Oh, Goddess of Wisdom is the one, okay. Alright, finally. See, when I said 20 minutes to reel in a fish, I wasn't lying. But it's a big one. This lake is actually going pretty well, both with the size of the fish and with how many I've found. So I probably shouldn't have said anything, because now I'm going to jinx it. And it's going to be another... that looks like a trout. Yep. It's going to be another hour or so before I find the very last one that I want to catch. Alright, 2 duds in the first timber spot. Carl, I gotta drive Jessica to the airport, so I can't intake beer, imbibe. So no, it is definitely not. This weekend though, when I was out ice fishing, my beer intake definitely matched the number of fish caught. Actually, it exceeded, far exceeded. Come on in! Yeah! I'm done with this lake. And donk. Fairly little guy, but good enough. Now I just gotta hope that that I don't have to use another password as I bang my boat into the trees. Alright, so one of the speed tricks here, down at the bottom, you hit that arrow and get the time off the screen. And then when you weigh in, it instantly brings you to the weigh-in dock. Or the weigh-in message. 65, ouch! Ouch, this isn't good. Especially starting off with a 9-pounder. So here we go, second password hype. It'll... might be close. That 14-pounder. Ah, that one needed to be bigger. That one needed to be 15. Yep, it said that stringer of fish looks good, which means it is not going to get third place by less than a pound. And I reset again and put in another damn password. Alright, hopefully this is the last one. But I totally jinxed myself when I said, oh, this is going well. Oh, D at the end, not B. There we go. More passwords. Alright, no lily pad skip. Straight to lily pads. And the reason for it is, back when I used to go for lily pad skip, there are, up in that area that I'll probably wind up going to anyway, there are 4 spots to fish, and each one of those spots has 3 different... lost my lure, my ass. 3 different spots to cast for a total of 12 casts to make. Lily pads have 4 spots to fish with 4 spots to cast in each one. So just upping the odds a tiny bit. Look at that whale. That's a big old bass. Alright, let's see if I can 1-foot you. Oh! So close. I don't know, I'll probably try 2 or 3 more times to get this. It is definitely well worth it if you can get the 1-second catch. Please lag. You're a damn fishing game. So what's happening here is the fish is swimming a little bit too close to the boat for when I set the hook. If the fish is at 0 feet, when the hook set happens, then it doesn't get hooked. So I actually have to try to hook it at 1. And then hope that he swims forward. So much lag. I don't get it. Come on! Oh, he was too far out when I set the hook. He was able to turn around. So these fish typically range between 16 and 19 pounds, the ones on Lake 3. And the odds of finding a fish are the exact same as Lake 2. 1 in 5 chance for each cast. This lake adds in a northern pike, but removes the catfish. So I have to contend with finding Lake 2 bass, bluegill, trout, northern pike, and then a Lake 3 bass, which I have on here. Can I get him? Yes. Little bit of aggression goes a long way. That's good, all puff. Everyone should love this game. You got it. Looks like a lunker. Yeah, that one might be another fish that's worth catching. Looks pretty big. Nope, that's a trout. Yeah, aren't the graphics beautiful? Especially on my super high resolution stream, Kappa. That looks like a northern pike. Yep. Scaring the fish away by talking. There's a good one. Now I don't always go for the quick catch strats because it's actually not doable. If the fish starts out at beyond 35 feet or so, and you try to reel them in really close, they lose interest and will just swim the other way. So when they're out far like this one was, you just kind of gotta hook them when you can and hope you can reel it in quickly enough. Yes, absolutely catch some Z's. Keep the stream on and let the waves relax you to sleep. Hooked by the run. Yeah, that's too far out. Look at that picture. The best outdoor shows would kill for that. Alright, please, fish. The farthest they can go out is 82 feet away from the boat, and he was at 75 there. Popper? Nah. This game is all crankbait all the time, pretty much. Popper is generally useless. I mean, pretty much every lure will get fish to come in, but crankbait is by far the best one. I'm not catching the wrong species. What are you talking about? Is this some sort of joke? Yep, fish please. It's my absolute favorite when fish goes into run phase at 2 feet from the boat. Yeah, I hear ya, CSG. This game definitely isn't for everyone. Oh God. My Super Mario Kart buddy SMK machine right there is trying to tell inside jokes. Really be debated. Good one. Honestly, as a fishing game, in relation to all the other ones I've played, which are fairly numerous, this is actually probably one of the better fishing simulators out there on the old Super Nintendo. Another good one was Real Fishing for PlayStation, but that one didn't quite have the fun factor that this one does. And yes, I did actually just say that. I said it and I meant it. Yes, keep jumping, get tired. There we go. Timer overran itself. Yep, so we're past the 1 hour mark. Bassmaster Classic is solid. Honestly, I don't quite like the underwater view nearly as much. Oh, this is the wrong spot. I want to be on top of these lily pads right here. I hope this is the right spot. Yep, good. I had a couple of those handheld ones. I don't remember what they were called. I remember getting one for Christmas. I want to cast short. The one year that had a fishing pole, and like if the fish started fighting, the pole would bend a little bit, and and it had like a sort of rumble pack or whatever. So if the fish fought, you would get a little buzz on your hands. Alright, get away from me, little fish. Try to go for a quick catch here. Ah, dang it. I should have not set the hook at that point, but oh well. Should have just retried. I'm really a bear. I have caught a fish with my bare hands before, so maybe I am a bear. Yeah, apparently there's this game, Super Black Bass, and apparently there were a couple other sequels that were Japan-only releases. I think there was a Super Black Bass 2 and 3 that I've never played. they've been brought to my attention before, but I had never heard of them up to that point. What gets me about fishing games is just that I fish. And when there wasn't really fishing to be had, you know, in Minnesota during some years during like April or March when the ice has softened and melted to the point where it's not safe to walk on anymore, and but it's still covering the lake, so you can't launch your boat. Well, fishing games would fill the void. And of course, in the doldrums of summer, late July and pretty much all of August, the fishing kind of sucks. So I barely even go out at that point. I mean, you're talking trying to fish in like on some lakes in 20 to 25 feet of water to catch pike, and okay, that was a bullshit line cut. Just like what happened earlier. It happens sometimes where the game just decides, yeah, your line is going to get tangled up, even though it never should. And we're just going to snap the line for you. Line snaps without tension even going up. Oh, I hate this game sometimes. Now, that one looks a little bit small. It's a northern. I have not tried this Fishing Planet game. No, I'm not going into hibernation after this. Oh, where are you? There you are. That looks too small. Any percent entails just finish the game. I don't know what 100% would entail. I've talked about, you know, having to win every tournament and catch every species of fish available to you. In any percent, you just have to finish in the top 3 to move on for the first 3 lakes, and then to finish the game, actually beat the game, you have to take first place on Lake 4. So I'm running into a bunch of trout and pike here. Well, bears like to catch salmon with their claws or paws or whatever, and fling them out of the water. Personally, I do not like salmon. Yes! Good! Woo! I don't like the taste of salmon. Largemouth bass suck as well. Northern pike are delicious. Of course, walleye are delicious. Crappies and bluegill, delicious. And hopefully this is another one of the spots that I want to be. Yep, we're good here. Oh, actually I wanted to cast short. Blindfolded 100%. And yes, you can actually win tournaments. See, the game... So, like, these tournaments last on the game timer from 7 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And the game actually expects you to play the whole time. And when you have a full live well of bass, and you catch one that's bigger than your smallest one, then you throw the smallest one back and put the one you just caught in the live well. That's what the game expects of you. But of course on a speed run, you just take the first 5 that you catch. That's like 2 bass, too small. And you just kind of hope and pray that you have enough weight to move on to the next lake. Please, just hit the water. Yay! Actually, one of my best friends that I always go fishing with on Minnesota's fishing opener, 2nd and Northern Pike. Usually the 2 weekends, it's always 2 weekends before Memorial Day, is fishing opener, and I get together with 2 of my best friends, and we've been going fishing for something like 15 years or 16 years straight now. And the one guy, that's another little Lake 2 bass. One of my buddies is a really good fisherman. But the other guy, he's there for comic relief. And we often say to him, like after he casts sometimes, "Oh, nice cast. You hit the water." That's all we can ask. But we all fish in the same boat, and we all use the same lures. So we're casting in the exact same spots all the time. I'm a couple pixels off on my spot here. I have to move forward and to the right a little bit. Want to find some rocks. Anyway, we all fish. We are all doing the same thing. And how the day will go is I will catch about 20 fish, bass and northerns. My buddy John will catch about 20. And then Andrew, the guy that's not good, will call it a good day if he catches 1. Really not sure how he pulls it off. That looks like a bluegill. I'm going to reel in. And it's not like we're fishing complicated lures either. We're just fish MEP spinners. Cast it out and retrieve it. That's all there is to it. Weedy spot. That's right. Okay, that looks like a pretty good one. Try to lure him into a foot. He pushed it forward a little bit too far. Hook through your finger is not good. Just don't try to take that fish hook out with another fish hook. Then you wind up with 2 fish hooks in your finger. And for anyone that was paying attention, yes, that was an Avatar: The Last Airbender reference. Caught a fish once. Aw, T-Rex. So sweet. I should say T_Rex_. More stories? Oh, jeez. Let's see, more stories about fishing. One other thing that I enjoy doing is spearing carp. Back when I was in high school, oh, it's shaking. Build up some tension, and he let go, darn. Back when I was in high school, actually my last day of high school, my senior year, so two of my friends, that same one, John, that I've been fishing with forever, and then a different guy also named Dan, we all got together to spear carp before school. We wound up spearing how many was it? 87 carp and 6 sheephead. Ow! 1 foot again! God! So, before school, we got out there and started spearing in this little creek that connects to a lake in my area called Lake Waconia. And John used to live right next to that, so he would know, and he would call us up whenever carp started moving in there. And these were big, big fish. Like, the ones you speared were upwards of 40 or 50 pounds. They probably averaged about 20 to 30, typically. How many was that? Was that 4? Anyway, so we had speared probably about, yeah, that's 4. Probably about 40 or 50, and all these carp were underneath this little culvert that ran under the road that ran past this place. So they were all stacked up underneath here, and I, being an idiot, decided, hey, it would be a good idea to crawl through this and chase these fish out so we could spear more of them. So I did, and we wound up spearing about 40 more fish. When they were watching me crawl through, they said the first time I went through there, all these I got to the middle, and all these fish started splashing, trying to run out from under there and get away from me. And my two friends said that as they were watching me, there was so much water splashing up that they couldn't see me. They couldn't see through the culvert to the other side. And I actually have a picture of me walking out from under there with a carp on my pitchfork, because I brought it in there with me so I could try to spear some, and I wound up, like the 3rd or 4th time I crawled through there, I wound up getting one. And I think I crawled through there like 7 times. And it was well worth it. We speared a ton of them. And then those carp all sat in the back of this guy's pickup truck for the duration of the school day while we took our finals. And it was like an 80-degree day, so they were just baking in there. It smelled so nasty. We wound up giving them to a farmer. They use them as pig feed sometimes, or fertilizer or whatever. Yes, I say crick. Crick versus creek, you know. And how I've always defined them is a crick is a shallow little stream of water that you wouldn't dare drink. A creek is a nice mountain stream with fresh water that you could have at it. My wife just walked in and now she's laughing at me. Hey, people are actually watching this crap fest. Can you believe that? I just told the story of spearing carp on the last day of school. Yeah, carp are gross. And actually that day, that was the day that I caught one barehanded. There was about a 45 pounder, when I actually shot at it with my bow and arrow, and instead of reeling up the arrow and taking another shot at it, I just jumped in, and it was in a really shallow spot of the creek, and I wound up just pinning it against the ground before throwing it on shore. I've caught one other fish barehanded before, also a carp, on a different lake in a creek running out of actually my hometown lake where I always go bass fishing. Me and a couple different friends were just kind of walking through and seeing if there were any carp sitting in there so we could spear them or catch them, and there was one that was just kind of hanging out. It didn't really notice us walking in the water or walking along shore or anything like that. So I got in and tried to corral this thing, and every time I could get up close and just like barely touch it, and then it would swim about 10 feet away, 10 feet upstream, and then I would go after it again and again and a few more times, and it never ran away from any of us for some reason. Finally, it just kind of sat in a little patch of weeds that looks like a Lake 2 bass. Sat in a little patch of weeds. I snuck up on it, pinned it against the bottom of the creek, picked it up, threw it on shore, walked around with it and celebrated my victory. And then I noticed it didn't have any eyes. It had two little indentations where the eyes should have been, but apparently it had some sort of birth defect where it was born without any eyes. So no wonder why we could walk up to it and catch it like that. It couldn't see anything. Let's see, do I have any other interesting stories? Probably not. The biggest bass I've ever caught is 22 3/4 inches. Got that on Bass Opener of 2014, I believe. No, that was not the thunderstorm year. Yes, my wife just reminded me of a moment of idiocy, and there are numerous ones when it comes to me and fishing. When you're on Bass Opener, I was out fishing, and probably about 3 hours into the day, maybe 3 or 4 hours into the day, it started raining on me, and lightning, and some pretty nasty wind too. And I stayed on the lake. Kept fishing. I think I wound up catching over 50 fish that day. Like 45 bass and 5 or so northerns. I also hooked into a muskie that was probably around 38 inches. Had it up to the boat 3 separate times, but it broke my line. And the best part about fishing in a thunderstorm, the brand of rod that I use is the Berkeley Lightning Rod. So would that be a twist of irony or something like that? If I got struck by lightning holding that thing? I don't know. Would that be irony or just coincidence? Alright, so weighing in here, I've got my 5 nice sized bass. The nice thing about Lake 3, you have 3 different rounds to compete to fish in. 3 different sections of lake. And you can fish all 3 days if you wanted to, but it only takes the best weight from one particular day. It's not a summation. It's not in total. So all I have to do is fish this one round. And hey, for the first time, I get into the top 3. Woohoo! So the next 2 rounds, since I don't actually have to worry about it, I only have to finish in the top 10 on this lake. I just go out and go right back in again with 0 pounds. And it makes a nice little meh sound when you, right here. No luck with the bass today. Aw. And then I get to do that one more time before moving on to the RNG fest that is Lake 4. Next password, yes! No, I don't have any kids, T-Rex. Yes, there is a chatter named T-Rex in here. My wife loves you. Alright, Lake 4. This wind being in my face. Okay, good. It's only 1 strength in my face. That's no big deal. Alright, so this lake adds to the RNG. We have all 5 species of fish that are possible mudders. Plus possible Lake 2 bass are thrown in the mix as well. So it is a 1 in 6 chance on any particular cast of actually finding a fish that I want to catch. And that first one was a catfish. T-Rex says he loves you. And he asks, "Are you single?" Not yet, she says. Should I be worried? That looks like a northern pike. Oh yeah, I forgot to split. Oops. Oh well. They can't see my splits anyway. We'll just say there's a little under 12 minutes until the world record is passed. Hey, world record's 138. My estimate is 220. That looks like a Lake 2. Yeah, it is. So 0 for 4. T-Rex's arms are too short to be a home wrecker. T-Rex, you take terrible selfies. Selfies are the worst. There we go, that's a good fish. Now fish on this lake typically range anywhere from 18 to 23 pounds. And well, each lake on this game actually has a particular lake rate. Will you just please bite? He's gonna lose interest soon. Each lake has a lake record on this game, and being true to real life, this final lake, the lake record is 22 pounds and 4 ounces, which is the actual world record. Thing doesn't want to eat. Please, fish. Actually, that world record has been unofficially broken several times. I don't know if there's one that though. Yep, it was 25 to 20. Apparently it wasn't even that close. Cleo Mac just destroyed us. So, gosh, when was it? Back in, I think I was still in college. It was sometime around 2006 or 2007 that a guy out in California on Lake Dixon, somewhere near San Diego, he wound up catching one that weighed 25 pounds. It was 25.1, but the fish didn't bite. Come on, yes, good. He accidentally hooked it like through the back by the dorsal fin. And in California, the law states that if you foul hook a fish, it immediately has to be thrown back. So they were not able to certify that. And I'm pretty sure there have been a few caught in Japan that bested the world record. They were like 22.5 pounds. T-Rex, I would say that's going a little bit far. So there's one guy on here called El Minister RTA that's been doing fish puns basically the entire time. It's glorious. Apparently T-Rex says this is the best run of the entire marathon. Which I would disagree with that. Oh God. A super black bass drinking game would be pretty fantastic. Alright, so I'm 1 for 8, which is, you know, about typical. Smack someone in the face with a bass. I don't think I've ever wanted to do that, no. Actually, this weekend my wife caught a bass. It was about a 14-incher. Pretty small. Thought it was a little northern hitting the tip up. We were using sucker minnows. But nope, one of those semi-rare winter bass. I catch a decent amount of largemouth throughout the winter usually, but it's not all that common. Mostly when I'm going for sunfish and crappies, like in weedy areas. I'll catch bass that just want to hit a teeny tiny whack. Biggest bass I've ever caught through the ice was a 22-incher, which for Minnesota is massive. Hey, another good catch. 22 inches, about 6.5 pounds, if you're wondering. A Genesis fishing game. King Salmon is a pretty good Genesis game. That's one I've played before. Otherwise, Bassmaster's Classic for the Genesis. Actually, completely different game compared to its Super Nintendo counterpart. Actually, a lot more challenging. But those are the two that I'm familiar with for the Genesis. More stories. Probably. Don't laugh at me. I'll talk about my best day ever fishing. Let's see. What year was that? I think it was in 2016. Oh, I want to go late April. I think it was actually April 20th of 2016. In about 2.5 hours of fishing, I caught 70 bass and 19 northerns. Just a crazy good day. Like I think I had caught 50 bass and 19 northerns, and I got on my phone and started texting all my fishing buddies, like, "Hey, get out here! I'm gonna go every day this week, and you have to come." So, and then after I texted everybody, I went for one more loop along the shoreline that I was fishing and wound up catching 20 more bass. I think, if I remember right, there were 19 of those bass were 18 inches or better, which is about 4 pounds plus. And then I had 2 northerns that were over 30. It looks a little small. It's a trout. 420, it sure was a good day. I don't do that though. Stream stuttering. I haven't seen it. Hopefully it's not on my end. I wouldn't doubt if it was though. Get away from me, little fish. Where was I at? Wouldn't you like to know? My home lake. The lake I've been fishing for, let's see, 29 years. I am old. That's fine. If I'm old, then you're old too. I will not reveal your age to the, I don't know, however many people are watching. You could be. Well, knockout, it wasn't Waconia. I fish that lake maybe once or twice a year. It's gotten a lot worse than it once was. It's not. I'll have to cast that a little bit farther. I used to fish. Okay, I just saw the stream stutter there a little bit. Yeah, OBS isn't telling me I've dropped any frames, so I don't know. Maybe it's not on my end. So Lake Waconia used to have a protected slot of bass. Everything 17 to 21 inches had to be released. And after they lifted that, the quality of bass fishing got noticeably worse. I used to go night fishing out there near the same creek that I spear carp out of. And the fishing, we would just really slowly crawl plastic worms along the bottom, and it was like every 20 minutes or so you'd get a bite and you would catch bass that were all like 19, 20, 21 inches. They were just gigantic. And that lasted for about 3 or 4 years until they lifted the slot, and it just hasn't been the same since. And nowadays, like early June, late May, I'll go out there and just kind of cast the docks and reeds. And a typical day is catching 20 or so bass out of there. A good day is 40 or 45. I don't think so. No, you caught a lot more bass before then. My wife's wondering when she caught her first bass. Actually, the first fish that she ever caught with me was a northern. First couple, actually. I know your first bass with a jerk shad was on Waconia. Yeah. You caught like a dozen that day. Well, I have time to go fishing that often just because it's part of my life. And it always has been. I've poured enough money into equipment over the years that I kind of have to justify it. I mean, I've been going out. Growing up, I lived across the street from a lake, and I would always go over to the neighbor's docks and just fish from there. And that's my home lake that I'm not giving up the name. But I mean, I work night shift, so when it's daylight, if I can just choose to adjust my sleep schedule and, you know, go out fishing for 4 or 5 hours and then come back and crash. This is usually how it goes. But I mean, all these stories are built up over years and years and years of going. I mean, I didn't start fishing out of a boat until, uh-oh, shaking. And jump! Ooh, that was close. I didn't start fishing out of a boat till I was about 14 or 15. And even then, when I was When I was younger than that, I would just go across the street and wade in the water or go to the start of the fishing season. And the neighbors were always nice enough to say, yeah, go for it whenever you want. And that first boat, what a riot. So the boat that I started fishing out of, it was just a little, like, 12-foot aluminum boat. I can get this nice. A little 12-foot aluminum boat, and it had 3 bench seats in there. And what my brother and my neighbor wound up doing with it was we tore all those seats out, and we put a bunch of styrofoam down and a plywood platform on top of it. So it was kind of like a bass boat almost, one that you could walk around easily on. And then eventually, actually that one, one year sometime in the fall, my neighbor had it pulled up on his shoreline, and the wind got really bad one day, and it went out to sea, went adrift on our little 260-acre lake, and some people found it just floating around in the middle of nowhere, and they pulled it up onto shore. So that's how we kind of got it back, but that was back in '06, I believe, or '05, and that actually by my own. I know, the Alumacraft Lunker 16 SS. Got that thing for $1,800, and it served me very well over the years. And now that thing, that got traded in, and I bought a new one just this year. So 12 years worth of putting fish into that boat. Well worth it. Surprisingly, that little boat with the platform wasn't all that unstable. It worked out pretty well. Of course, I don't know if that boat even had a trailer. It might have. It was pretty much locked in to the one lake that I fished. What food item did you find on Pinterest? Would anyone in chat eat s'mores dip? Marshmallow fluff and chocolate, and then you dip graham crackers into it, I'm guessing. Chocolate covered graham crackers. That's a little overkill, don't you think? This is a fantastic one-sided conversation, I'm sure, to you guys in chat. My current boat, yes, I actually do take care of it. The old boat, not so much. Basically winterizing the old boat, it had a 25 horsepower Mariner on it. For that, I would just kind of, run all the gas out of it the last time I had it on the lake, and then, throw it into storage for the winter time. With this current one, yeah, I actually do, or I did, change the oil on the lower unit and did all the stuff, like put stable in the gas tank and all the stuff that you're supposed to do. It's got a 90 horse Mercury on it. It's quite fast. The boat is actually only rated, like that's the biggest engine that could be put on there is a 90 horse. Chad agrees with you that s'mores dip would be delicious. Doesn't that make you feel proud? You've impressed some random people online. That's all a millennial wants out of life. The boat I bought is a 1997 Bass Tracker, so it's actually a legit bass boat. Oh, I should have cast short here. I don't know what brand I got for the fuel stabilizer. Definitely wasn't this Startron. That doesn't sound familiar. Alright, get away from me, little fish. Just big one. Oh, darn. Are you falling for T-Rex? A little... So you are single. Yeah, T-Rex, it's time to move in. She's got her rings off because she just did a workout. Oh, dang it. The quick catch didn't quite happen. It's kind of trouble fishing around these logs and stuff because every once in a while the fish will get stuck on one of those and then you have to break the line. Happy little accidents. Oh my god, someone just quoted Bob Ross. I love Bob Ross. Yes, we've all seen that Facebook meme. Please, controller. Okay, something's going on with my A button. Like, seriously, I have to switch controllers? That's the one! My A button is crapping out on me! Alright, just don't hit the power button. So what my wife was mentioning was there's a meme on Facebook that talks about how Bob Ross was actually a serial killer, and all the paintings he does is where all the bodies are hidden. And now we're getting the cool story Bob emote in chat. It's a good emote. That and Kappa Ross, of course. The Kappa with the little afro. That's my favorite one. Regular Kappa is just so boring. A shark Kappa? I don't know. There's... Well, on Franker Phase Z, there's several shark emotes. The best one, of course, being Jaws. Blaming the controller is like the secret to speedrunning. Everyone does it. That's not gonna get there. Happy little cover-ups. Maybe that one was fertilized by victim number 24. Most movies suck. My wife wants to go see Fantastic Beasts #2. From what I've heard, they're running out of material already. And there's supposed to be like 5 or 6 of these movies coming out. That's the review that I heard on the radio, anyway. Tight pants? In it for the tight pants. That's where my wife is at right now. That's why she sees movies. Tight pants. And explosions. And dragons. Although there aren't nearly enough to identify them on an emotional level. Every time the abracadabra spell gets used, though, I'm always happy about it. Especially when Snape does it to Dumbledore. Best moment. I am not a monster. When's the Super Black Bass movie? Well, I guess if I got a GoPro or something, then I could do a little fishing and then post that on Twitch. But then I would be one of those regular old tools that wears GoPros while fishing. We have a GoPro? 3 years ago? Ah. So I'm not going to be able to reel that one in there. Get up! This is bad. This fish might be stuck. Oh, no, he's moving around a little bit. Get up. Come on. Get out of there. I want him to come to the surface. Trying to pull him up. There we go. No, quit diving. Diving bad. Whew! I was a little worried there. He keeps on diving down though. When the fish is in run phase and gets stuck on something and starts kind of flickering back and forth is when you have a problem and you might have to break the line. Oh no, now he's shaking! It's... man. This fish... and this is why everyone hates this game. This is the RNG that I'm talking about. It's been like... this has been like a 15 or 20 minute fight. And I've almost lost him a couple times. And he keeps on diving down and getting stuck on these logs. Up and I can't move him. And I can't pull him to the surface because he just doesn't want to. There we go. This is like the exact situation you don't want to find yourself in. Just come in. Yay, finally! Good God, that took too long. No, this is only going to be about 18 and a half. Or 20.2. I have gone over 2 hours. So my so if I were going for my own bounty right now, I don't have it. A fishing version of Happy Gilmore? How would that even work? Tie the line to a puck, maybe? Not a stick. No, no bass fishing with a Lindy rig. I think the puck would be a good lure. Yes, and the stick is the rod, and you slap shot it out. That's how you cast. Fish at this spot. So I think I mentioned before one of the runs that I had about 1.5 years ago to this final lake at 10 minutes ahead of pace. That looks like a bluegill. Yep. And I wound up finishing the run 15 minutes behind. There was another run, probably right around that same week, actually. I was actually trying to grind this game out. I had a run where I was down to my very last fish and I was 5 minutes ahead of pace. And I wound up finishing that run 20 minutes over. Another bluegill. Shooter McGavin. Wouldn't it be like Caster McGavin or Fisher McGavin or something like that? Happy Gilmore rival. Looks like a pike. Any good fishing movies? I highly doubt that. Are there any fishing movies? Period. I mean, Jaws could be considered a fishing movie. Is there a fish, a name of a fish that rhymes with that ends in "ooth"? Because that would be a great Jack Nicholson pun right there. Grumpy Old Men isn't really a fishing movie. It's a Come on, let's go. Give me my last fish. I could still finish, well, sort of finish. I mean, you can't count this a finish because I had to use 2 passwords. Though. Sharknado. Yes. All the Sharknados. Everyone get your doo-doo-doo and Saba Ping in chat. Make some Sharknados for me. I don't know where that mutter is on that spot. Fangtooth is a fish name, so the Jack Nicholson pun would be, you can't handle the fangtooth. I'll take it. There we go, there's some Sharknados. Alright, come on, be a bass! No, that one's too small! Alright, so now it's past 9 a.m. Every 2 hours on this game, the wind and weather changes, and all the spots that you visited get reset. So now I'm going to start revisiting all the same spots that I've cast at before. Now the wind is double in my face, and for some reason the wind never changes, regardless of what way your boat is facing. You would think that if the wind's out of the north here, I could just face my boat to the south and cast with the wind, but no. Doesn't work that way. The game says, wind is in your face, you will cast into it, and you will like it. I was really hoping that I would find a find a nice bass on the mid-right and far-right side of the casting area. Because now if I find one here, I got to deal with logs again. That was a catfish I saw at the top left of the screen there. Trout. Come on, I gotta get one in 10 minutes to hit my estimate. Gotta do it, man! Looks a little too small. Looks like a Lake 2 bass. Oh, that's a trout. That one was out farther. I'm gonna try to cast at him again. So this is a spot that doesn't have logs on the two left spots. And that's a bass, but it's a Lake 2 bass. So back to back, come on. Game's just trolling now. You finish this run, you have to catch 5 nice fish on this lake. So I need one more fish, and then I go way in. And if I win the tournament, that's a successfully completed run. If you get second on Lake 4, then that's not actually a completed run. But even if I win, of course, since I used passwords, this won't be technically a completed run. Another little guy. I don't think this lake's ecosystem is going to be destroyed. I mean, at the end of bass tournaments, all the fish get released anyway. Trolling. I'm glad someone caught that. I was pretty proud of that one. There we go. This could be my last fish. If I can get him to pop up. There he comes. Now he's got to turn around, hopefully. Then I got to actually catch him. Alright, here we go. Final fish. Come on, be. Or don't be a quick fight. No. Actually, don't be a quick fight. Game always does opposite of what I say, right? No, we gotta get this run to end. Put me out of my misery. Then move on to Final Fantasy IV, I think is next. World record fish or riot? Well, I don't think this is a world record. This one's going to be a... Well, last time I said it was going to be an 18 or 19 pounder. It turned out to be 20 something. And the biggest fish I had caught all day. Hey, alright! That was pretty good. I'm going to be underestimate. Woohoo! And there you go, 21.3. Alright, I'm just going to double check and make sure that that was indeed fish number 5. Yes, got some all. Now, the computer players, first place can be anywhere from about 88 pounds to 98 pounds is what I've seen. 97. I should hopefully get over that. I didn't get any world record bass. 20 pounder was the last one. Alright, moment of truth. 97.11. Yay! 98.0. And time. I won by 5 ounces. I am Super Bass Champion. Alright. 2:17 flat. 3 minutes underestimate. Had to use 2 passwords. Had a horrible start. 20-minute lake one is just useless. That's a reset every time. So everyone, thanks for watching. My voice is getting a little bit hoarse, a little raspy right now. This is way more talking than I normally do. So, yep, by 5 ounces I won. Yeah. So enjoy the finishing credits, and then once our next runner is ready, Speed Gaming can pass it on over.